I feel like everything is really coming together.
Our students, it's going to be an exciting time, great atmosphere.
But I'm going to be in Austin for Thanksgiving, okay? And you better take care of business like you did right here in Lubbock last year.
And that is what sparked the Embrace the Hate. Brett Yormark, the new Big 12 commissioner, who's done a great job, but clearly speaking to his audience in Lubbock, Texas. Here we are, guys, 2 days to kick off of this fine college football season ahead. We got Stevie Lee, former Longhorn, who's also the co-host of the Pass Rush, our series strictly on UT football during the season. Danny Davis, the esteemed scribe of the Statesman, well-respected, great work. Should be a comedian on the side because he is quite a humorous guy and represents the state of Montana very well. And, of course, the great Jeff Barker, the Hook'em alum via Cali. Guys, first and foremost, your mark kind of set the tone for game week, even though Texas Tech is the final game of this season. We'll start from the top right. Barker, when you heard that, when each of you guys heard that, what was your first thought? I was just shocked at first.
Yeah, it was just stupid. I mean, he was pandering, and it's one of those things that everybody kind of does. I mean, I've never spoken to one of those groups, but I feel like anytime you're there and you're speaking to the same audience, everybody's a Tech fan, everybody's a whatever fan, maybe you take it a little too far. I just think I thought Sark's comment was funny about, well, 2 days before that, I got an email about sportsmanship from the commissioner. Like, oh yeah, that kind of I thought that was a great response. That kind of says it all. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but in this whole conspiracy era that we live in too, where everyone thinks Texas is already getting robbed and OU's getting robbed on calls. Like, it's just a bad look. I don't know. That's all. It just makes him look bad.
Danny, you've seen a lot of press conferences from across the country, in particular dialed into the Big 12. I mean, do you think that was a calculated deal, probably planned? Because that is the last game, I think, of the Big 12 between Texas and Tech, the last game ever with Texas and Oklahoma members of the Big 12.
Well, unless one of them makes the Big 12 championship game.
That's a great point.
Could come into play if Texas is fighting for a spot and they play Tech and there's a questionable call late and Texas loses, and then everyone, as Jeff alluded to, is speaking conspiracy, or it could go the other way around. If Texas wins on some close call, every fan that is against Texas is going to be like, oh, they got to the commissioner. The heat was too much because of what he said in Lubbock. So I just think you've set yourself up for a lot of stupid controversies that you don't need. I'm going to hope the commissioner was just playing to the crowd and forgot there were cameras on him, because that just seems like a really dumb thing to say. Hopefully, there isn't a case where we need to start thinking that there's a Big 12 conspiracy and we can just play football and watch football. But that was just a really stupid thing to say with cameras on you, and Brett Yormark makes too much money to be doing stuff that dumb, and I just don't understand it.
Stevie,
yeah.
a player,
yeah.
Do you listen to that kind of stuff? I mean,
you definitely put it on the bulletin board now. This bulletin board material. It's us against the world. It's us against the Big 12. They all want to beat us, right? And so it is dumb. We obviously know that he should not have this job now. So he just showed us that he shouldn't have it. So I vote Shawn to take this job. So, but no, man, but we always knew this as players coming in, man. I mean, people get up for our game, right? What I think that we should do is be petty. The University of Texas should absolutely be petty. When he comes down here for that game and he walks up to the stadium, we should make him show his credentials everywhere he goes. Every door he needs to go to. Sir, can I see your credentials? I don't know who you are. Can I see your credentials? And every single door he has to pass through. And leaving, sir. You can't get back in, sir. So, just be petty with him,
Oh, I like it. And,
well, if that happens, we're going to need Stevie actually do at the door. We need some bigger guys instead of like the 90-year-old grandmas who they have at some of these. It's not fair to ask them to play play the offensive line to Brett Yormark.
Yeah, you know what? I'll ask CDC to put me on his security detail.
Yeah, get some muscle up.
Hey, this is Stevie. That he's going to walk you around everywhere you need to go, and then I'll stop him everywhere he needs to go. Miss all of his appointments.
That credential, sir.
Yeah, where's your credentials? Well, Stevie, you just saw him. I need to see him again. You know.
Can you imagine that Big 12 championship podium? I mean, I'm supposed to be unbiased here, but man, that would be a hell of a moment when he has to hand the trophy to Sark.
Yeah. And Sark say, man.
I mean, Sark will say the right thing, but
maybe he won't.
Don't
put me on the stage then.
I would love to see it. Poetic justice. And I think, as we continue to embrace the hate that has been the tone set by Yormark, we also got to give love to, I think, Shoal Creek Saloon, the sponsor of this series. They're going to embrace the hate as well because they have expressed interest. They're the home of LSU alumni for football, but they've got them in the other room. They have encouraged all Longhorn fans to pregame, postgame, or watch the entire game on the porch by Shoal Creek overlooking that stream, or as Charles Barkley called the San Antonio River, that dirty little creek in San Antonio. But it's a beautiful creek to watch football. And Shoal Creek Saloon, thank you for supporting us. And, if you Longhorn fans, go out there. Their beer is very cold. They have a nice selection, and they have great food. So as we continue to embrace the hate, so to speak, Sark had a good answer other than Yormark's not going to be invited for Thanksgiving dinner. Talking about this is a great opportunity for any team, in particular the Longhorns.
You can't just sit back and keep taking punches and it's just okay. At some point, you have to go hunt. You have to punch back and you have to fight back, and that's what we're imploring our veterans to do, our leaders to do, is that every time we take the field, our opponent's going to get our best shot. We may get theirs, we may not. We can't control that, but we need to be sure that they get our best shot.
Like that. That's not. I mean, there is coach speak there. We all hear a lot of it, but for Stevie, when you see everything that has transpired to date, this August camp has really gone by fairly quick. There hasn't been anything negative, but when you see that and hear that response as a player, I want to start with you and then work around to Danny and Barker. His response to that, that's kind of like a pregame speech almost.
No question. I got fired up, man. I was ready to run through a brick wall because he's absolutely right, man. We got to stop reacting. And for years, we've been reacting, right? And we actually got to go out there and punch somebody in the mouth. You know what I mean? So, whatever script that he's going to pull up for his first 20 plays is attack. Let's do it. Let's attack. And on defense, really, we got to attack as well on defense. Pulling back on our heels and waiting for the ball to get in the air to attack. Let's attack before the ball gets in the air, Let's attack before the running back gets to the ball, right? Gets the ball. So winning, I think what he also is saying is winning at the line of scrimmage, right? I think this is where we're going to be playing most of our games is at the line of scrimmage with these big, strong offensive linemen, these big defensive linemen. We had some questions at the linebacker positions, but if you got big enough offensive linemen, the way we played when I played was we took up the offensive line. That's why DJ made a bunch of money in the NFL because nobody touched him in college. So I mean, we can do it depending on the scheme, but whatever the scheme is punch him in the mouth first.
Danny.
I think when those comments were made by the commissioner, I think obviously there were a lot of Texas fans that were annoyed, and media members ready to get their clicks, and I'm sure CDC wasn't happy, but there was nobody on campus happier than the head coaches of the teams on campus, because I don't know how Jeff feels about this, and Shawn, when you were one of these press conferences, that line is so annoying and so tired that it's us against the world. Everyone, if I had a Longhorn on my chest, everyone's coming after this, we're number one. It's really tired. It's really annoying. I don't buy it because I'm also not from here. But now now there's a commissioner. There's a commissioner that could be like, see. Even the Big 12 wants us to fail and stuff like that. So that definitely gives the bulletin board material. That gives a clip that they can play before the Tech game or whenever Steve feels like he needs to fire up the guys. I personally don't. I would hope this team doesn't need to be fired up much coming off of last season and kind of what's at stake this year before they go to the SEC. But if there was a couple of guys that maybe needed a little bit of extra prodding, Steve definitely got a talking point from the commish. So unfortunately for me, I have to hear that line now again for the next however long I'm on this beat. But
wait, so you don't believe that people come out and give their best against Texas?
The thing I hate about that line is I feel it's disrespectful to the other teams and the other competitors that, I would assume that if Baylor was playing Texas, they'd want to beat Texas because they're competitors and this is a game and, you want to do the best and stuff like that. Like, I just don't feel that for sure. Like there's some, maybe if you wanted to go to Texas and you were recruited over, you're a little angry and stuff like that. But I just feel for the most part, people are competitors. They want to win games and stuff like that. Like when I was, I know this is different, growing up in Montana, we wanted to win every game on our schedule. Sure, with the rivalry games were the ones that were the big ones on the schedule that all the fans were excited about. But, if we won that one game and lost the other 9, that wasn't good for us. Like, I just feel it's lines like that are disrespectful to the competition. I feel it's inflating of the Texas ego, especially since a lot of these programs at Texas, like you're going to tell me, the women's basketball team that, everyone's coming at Texas, including Baylor, which has won like 20 straight Big 12 championships, a couple national titles. You're going to tell me Oklahoma's going after the Texas football team when Oklahoma.
Yeah, we're talking about football right now, though. So
Oklahoma's ran this conference. Baylor's won, a conference title more recently than Texas. Kansas State's won a conference title more recently than Texas. TCU's got their national championship game in the last year. Like I just feel it's disrespectful and I feel it's tired. But now, the commissioner just fed right into it, and I can't really. I guess
the way you can even tell that people get up for just our game playing the University of Texas is when they do beat us, how they celebrate. When they are like, oh, shit, we just beat them, and they celebrate hard because they got up for that game. I get it. It may be annoying, but it's absolutely true. People get up to play the University of Texas either at their home or at our home.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Danny on that. Man, is it annoying, and man, is it just like low hanging fruit, and I'm gonna disagree because I do think there's truth to it, and I see where you're coming from, Danny, with it being, especially like you brought up the women's basketball example, like it's case by case, and I think my issue with Texas football using it right now is, they're going to use it and it's free motivation, but it's kind of like you haven't really earned that over the last 14 years, but the motivation should come from, hey, let's go out and go be what we were when we became the team over the course of history that was Big Brother, that was stomping everybody, and that's why teams feel that way about us. And even if they still do, I would look at it like, hey, I want to at least earn that. I want to at least earn, like, hey, when people see this Longhorn, they get up for us and they give us our best shot. Like, go out and be that team again. That should be the motivation to actually.
I feel like I'm on First Take right now, man. I'm gonna go right back at y'all.
If Jared Elliott, if Eddie Reese want to say that line, that's fine. They've earned it. They have natties in the trophy case. They are the gold standards of their sports. But I'm sorry. Beating Texas in football at this point, beating Texas in basketball, if you're a Kansas or one of these other top tier schools, I just don't think that's as big as Texas fans like to make it out to be. Like, I don't think other fan bases care as much as, Texas at this point in a lot of these sports is just another school until they get to that point. And maybe Texas gets to that point this year. And, next year, well, I think next year there's going to be a lot of schools that don't give 2 cents about Texas in the SEC. I think Texas is in for a rude awakening when they go to the SEC as far as what people think about them. But I don't know. I don't buy the whole. I've never bought it. I've always thought it was a cliche line used by coaches, but like I said, the commissioner.
Used by the Texas coaches?
What was that?
You mean used by the Texas coaches?
Like I said, Jeff can vouch for this, and Shawn too. I mean, that is a line that is trotted out at press conferences multiple times.
It has been
multiple times.
And I get that.
In some, like Danny said, in some cases it's true. But my thing with football is if that's how it's going to be, no matter what, whether you're 0-12 or 12-0, the motivation should be to be the 12-0 team that gets treated like that. Because I mean, Stevie's point is true. Like, you see the horns down every single time when someone beats Texas, even if they're 5-7. So at least go be the team that's 12-0 and gets treated like that.
Yeah. So I get what y'all saying. It is annoying, but there is some truth to, Baylor coming in here beating us. They got up for our game, right? They got up for like you said, there are rivalry games on everybody's schedule, and they circle games. And best believe, and this might sound annoying to y'all, other schools circle the University of Texas because we are the annoying university to them. Just like you guys said we are annoying, they think we're annoying, and they're going to circle that date as well. So they get up for this game, y'all. You can tell by the way they celebrate. They got up for this game. They want to beat us really, really bad. They'll walk off they win another game. They walk off the field, celebrate with each other. They win our game. They're on the field, stomping the Longhorn, horns down, everything. It's the best thing that ever happened to them in their lives.
I'll give you two examples, and this is I'm on both sides of this because Danny and Barker are not wrong. Stevie, you're not wrong. But having been on the other side of the Red River and covered that team, of actually both of them, I mean, I felt like there's some respect between Texas and OU, but I felt like Oklahoma State hates Texas more. But what I mean, so a good example of Stevie's point, I remember like it was yesterday. 1992 was John Malkovich's first year. They went 6-5. TCU was not a good program back. They were average. There were 3 teams who beat Texas that year, and they tore their goalposts down just for beating an average Texas team. And then you look at Oklahoma. I always felt, and this is no offense to you, Stevie, or any of the Texas teams, but I felt like teams wilted more or easily when they played in Norman against Oklahoma. They just wilted. I just felt like there was some type of edge Oklahoma had from 2001 to 2009. I don't know what it was, even though Texas was a better team in 08 and 09. It's just an observation.
Only 2 years. From 01 to 06, 07, well, I guess when did we win the national championship? 05?
Yeah.
From 01 to 05, they dominated us.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma, and they were winning. That's part of that, right?
Yeah.
So, but you walked in that stadium, and they were really good. I hate to say that. Don't let anybody know I said it, but they were really good back then. So that's why.
No, you're right, and it's and no disrespect to the 05 team. I mean, but I'm just talking about teams when they went to Norman. There was something there that I cannot explain.
They were just good.
Visitors wilted, and I couldn't
because they were good then.
But I never saw that in Austin a lot.
You were correct. We weren't good at that time. Like, we were good when I played. We were good. We always had 9-win seasons, and I want to push back on that too. And we took people's heart in warm up.
Yeah,
some of these schools, right? Like, we only lost one game from 2000 to the 04-05 season. We lost one home game. That's Arkansas. And the way Arkansas celebrated in our stadium.
03, yeah.
Yeah. So we lost one home game. We protected the house, right? So I'm pushed back a little bit because we've seen people get off the bus and like, that's it. I opened the game up against Baylor, and I don't remember what year, with a sack. I saw the fear in the O-lineman's eyes. We were Texas. I know that sounds annoying, guys, because you guys are part of the media, and that's annoying. But we were Texas at the time.
But that's my point. Is it was true back then? Y'all played like it.
Right.
At least definitely at the end of your career for sure.
Right. So the annoying thing is people need to, when we weren't playing as well, they're the ones that circle the calendar for us. I mean, why? We were not good. So you celebrated on a mediocre team at the time, you know?
Yeah.
You were getting up for a mediocre team so you can bragging rights. That's what they do. I mean, I'm sorry, but it does sound annoying. I'm not from Texas, and when I got to Texas, and the Texas was annoying to me when I first got here. But now you cut me and I'm on burnt orange now. So, but yeah, I get what you guys are saying though.
And to correct it, I didn't cover Texas full time until late in the season 2012. So I was exposed to Norman and Stillwater for a long time. But just from watching from afar and comparing what I saw in Norman to the time that I arrived in Austin, it's just there's something. But I do think that mystique is starting to come back at Memorial Stadium. They just need to get to this program, to Danny and Barker's point. And I know you feel the same way, Stevie, of just protecting that home field, not even letting anyone close. I mean, kind of like USC 2018. That's not a good game but there was a quarterback on that roster that we'll get to. But this next line before we take a break, A.D. Mitchell, he's a family guy, and Danny got some good responses out of him. Left a championship pedigree at Georgia. He's from the Houston area, and it's the first time I've seen him speak. And I'm already a fan. He was talking about why would he leave a chance to possibly have 3 national championship rings to come to a rebuilding Texas program, and this was his response.
You know, when I was 12 hours away, you know, I didn't get that. I didn't get that time with my mom. I didn't get that time with my family, and most of all my daughter. So I say being here, I've been able to spend more time with her over this year than the past 2 years. So that's been the best part. 2, yes, Iceland.
She a big football fan?
Oh, of course, she ain't got no choice.
Start with Danny.
Thanks, Danny. I turned all those answers, especially the one about his name too. I turned that into an entire package for the news. So shout out, Danny.
I missed it. So, Danny, we'll start with you. I mean, what type of guy is he? Seems like a guy that's grounded and back in Texas and at Texas for all the right reasons.
I mean, sure. I mean, we got 5 minutes with him. I can't really speak to his character or what kind of guy he is, but he was a good interview. Adonai seems like he's got the right priorities set forth, especially as someone who has a 2-year-old son. I can understand having a daughter that age, being away from her while you're playing in Georgia can be tough, especially when you're that age, and also you're away from your parents and your family and stuff like that. So maybe they can't come to all your games and stuff like that. So I'm always happy when athletes are happy, and if he's happy by being at Texas where his family can come visit him and he's around family and his people, then I think that's really awesome. And obviously Texas got a great player out of it, and I'm sure they may need to go get the Mitchell family a bunch of Texas jersey and swag for helping him come back to the state. But it's just awesome to see someone who's happy, and it also helps that he's won 2 rings, and that's it's a little easier to leave when you've already accomplished that. But it's cool that he decided to come home for those reasons, and hopefully we'll see his daughter at a couple of games wearing I think he's number 5. Wearing whatever jersey number he is, wearing the having little Mitchell jerseys.
Yep, Barker, since you cover him too, I mean, and Stevie, I'll start with Barker, but we saw, what was it, that amazing catch he had in the spring game. The receiving core, and I know we've said it here, I mean, they honestly could be one of the top 3 receiving units in the country. How big of a part does that guy play to help others become a better receiver?
Oh, huge. I mean, I think his addition completely kind of rounds out that room. I mean, you have arguably the best, 1-2 punch with Worthy and Mitchell, and obviously, Jordan Whittington behind him. Jonte Cook's going to get some good time, and I think it just only opens up everything for Xavier Worthy, and I think that's kind of like the easy answer there. But I think also the intangibles too of a guy that not only was he wasn't just on 2 national championship teams, because it kind of in some ways made me think back to when Sark first got here, and he gets a bunch of these guys from Alabama, and it's kind of like, with all due respect, like these guys would leave Alabama to come to Texas in Sark's first year because like they're going to get more playing time at Texas. If they were playing that awesome, it would be, they would be staying at Alabama. But this is one of those cases where you have a guy who like, to your point, 2 rings, and he scored a touchdown in every playoff game and every national championship game in those. So he was making plays in huge moments. So he kind of checks both boxes there. And, Danny touched on all the personal things too. That's just rare when you can get a guy of that pedigree and that production to come in and, round out a room for you. And seems like it's mutually beneficial for both sides.
Look at you doing your homework, man. Got a touchdown and everything.
Well, I mean, I just watched all those games too.
Yeah, no question. That's good.
I thought he would be at Texas.
No, I really just like this because the power is in the players' hands nowadays. And I know a lot of people don't like this. If I always thought if a coach can move, like one day I had one coach, Coach Bull Reese, and the next day I had Coach Greg Robinson. And I'm like, if they can move around and pluck people out, why can't we as players? And so I'm glad that we can do that. That's just, I'm glad he's here. I'm happy he's here. You're right. He rounds out that receiver room, opens up the playbook for Sharp to do a lot of other things. There may be some trickery stuff going on because, obviously we got some weapons that need the ball in their hands, and we need to figure out a way to get it in their hands and spread the ball around. So that opens up the playbook for Sharp and the offensive staff. So I'm happy he's here, but I'm so happy that these kids have the power to do whatever they need to do for their careers and their families.
No doubt. And when we all can change jobs whenever we feel like it.
Absolutely.
We can move into a house when we want to. Danny, Barker, and Stevie can help you.
Right.
Find that home.
It is kind of funny thinking just where the NCAA has come in the last couple of years. I mean,
oh my
Steve,
God.
when you were playing, I mean, if you had a little daughter back home, in another state, and you were really missing her, and you wanted to go home so she can be around daddy, the NCAA would be like, "Screw you, kid! You're sitting out a year. We don't care." That's not a good enough reason to go home. And I think it's awesome that. I don't know if the NCAA wanted it this way, but that, kids can go home for family. They can go home because they're not comfortable. They can go home for whatever reason. They don't need to give a reason or an excuse. It's,
right.
Everyone's reason is their own. But like you said, I think that's awesome. And I think college football is a lot better, even though I do understand, fans getting upset about the turnover and, losing track of players and rosters. But in the end, it's these kids' life, not ours. And you got to let them live it.
It took a little too long for us to reach this stage, but I'm all down. I think we all can agree. It needs a little refining on the NIL part, but these players deserve the opportunity to move. They deserve to be paid for their name, image, and likeness. And we're going to take a quick break, and I wonder if Stevie, I think he could have been compensated for his acting skills. If you haven't seen it, one of our big sponsors, Hargrove Roofing. Stevie, great acting job, and we'll see you on the other side, and we'll identify and talk about some interesting things for UT's season opening opponent, Rice House, the Rice House from H-Town. Interesting quarterback who has played for quite a few programs. We'll see you guys on the other side of this.
Here at Hargrove Roofing, we try to think outside the box to kind of get the creative juices flowing. So I brought in my friend Stevie Lee, former defensive tackle for the Texas Longhorns. He's going to help the team strategize, really motivate them, light a fire.
This guy's going to block down. This guy's going to block down. You put your butt into the guard, and that way my Mike linebacker gets free to do what?
Not only are they going to learn a thing or two, but they're going to also leave with a great attitude and a bunch of smiles on their faces.
I'm sorry, what does this have to do with roofing exactly?
Get out.
Right now.
I said get out.
For me, that's what it's all about. It's just having fun, making our employees have a great time. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
football is getting close, so I wrote this. Now that it's Saturday, it's roll tide, Hail State, go Tigers, Rocky Top, Potty Toddy, Gator Chomp, Boomer Sooner, Death Valley, Pig Suey, Giga Maggie's War Eagle, Go Dogs, Anchor Down, Gamecocks, Hook 'em Horns, Wildcats, Saturdays are finally back, SEC's all here, we've been waiting for this all year.
Her name is Emmy Moy. I just discovered her very young. I'm assuming she's in her, I don't know, look like she's 18, but she's a little ahead on the SEC involvement of UT in Oklahoma. And she was getting just bombarded with criticism because she included the Longhorns and Sooners. So maybe a precursor of what's expected.
You'll notice that Texas was second to last on her list of songs. So apparently they are on the first calendar.
No comment. No comment. I'm done.
Oh, you're really trying to manifest this, huh? Right? You're going to be irrelevant in the SEC. Wow. I get it, man.
My only takeaway from that was that she's just bandwagon, man. She's on all the teams.
She's all of them. She got a what's the anchor down? Who is that? Vanderbilt?
Yeah,
that's it.
Google.
I got to Google it. I saw that and I was like, "What the hell, Bobby?" Didn't know what it was. So
yeah, Vanderbilt.
Okay, we cleared it up.
There's a reason. There's a reason we don't know it.
We don't know it. The Commodores and their stadium is being renovated as we speak. But the Rice Owls, they're dropping anchor. This is the quarterback of the Rice Owls. So he was the quarterback for USC when they came to Austin in 2018. Transferred to Georgia. Texas didn't play him then. Then to West Virginia, Texas played him. Now he's at Rice. I've never seen this before. A quarterback, QB1, 4 different programs. I'll start with Danny and Barker. What do you know more about this guy? Because this is transfer portal at its finest.
Well, I'll start. I mean, he was a huge recruit when he ended up at SC, and just never kind of ended up becoming that 5-star guy. So, this is definitely his transfer portal at its finest. That's also a stash at its finest as well.
78 porn star.
I mean, like. He's going to go to DKR for the third time with a third different team and be handed a third loss. So that's got to be some kind of record that I don't even know if, you could probably reach out to John Bianco for all kinds of Texas history and his team there. And this might be the one where they're like, yeah, I don't know if we can confirm whether or not a guy's played at UT for 3 different teams.
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't include Texas as one of those teams.
That's true. Danny, you've seen a lot of things that are humorous in college football. Is this a first for you? I mean, there's a lot of movement. And even before the portal, we had some movement, but nothing like this.
No, I think, though, this is something we should probably get used to, especially now, in addition to the transfer rules being more lax. I mean, I think the transfer within conference rules are now a lot more lax. So, sure, maybe four schools is a little different, but we're also talking about a COVID year factoring into this too. So that kind of skews it a little bit. But, for whatever reason, it didn't work out for JT at USC. Georgia obviously didn't need him after Stetson kind of took control of that program. And I'd want to leave West Virginia as well. So I'm not going to blame him for coming to Houston after his, things didn't work out last year. So, for whatever reasons, I'm not going to criticize, Texas players for wanting to come to Texas or leave Texas. I'm certainly not going to criticize him for moving around and doing what he thinks is best and trying to find a situation that lets him play. And, I don't know if he has a pro future anymore, but at least he's going to have a Rice education. And so, he's going to come out of this a lot better than I will. So I'm not going to mock him too much for that.
No, great education, has probably a better degree in all of us. But, well, Stevie, you got a UT degree. That does speak volumes too. No offense on that. It's
I graduated too.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's probably still not as good as the Rice degree. Anyway, point stands.
So real quick, we'll start with Stevie on this one. It's going to be a win for Texas. But what is success beyond that W? We'll start with Stevie, then go to Barker, then Danny.
Man, I don't like when you say that it's going to be a win. I don't like that.
Such a player.
Mac Brown.
The most important game, we talked about this last week, the most important game is the next game, right? So.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Alabama game.
No, it's not. It's the next game. Yeah. So what success looks like is going out there and doing whatever we want to do in our base sets, our base offense and our base defense, doing whatever you want to do in your base sets. That's what success looks like to me. I don't want them to pull out any tricks, anything fancy or anything like that. This should be a game to where you line up 11 on 11 and be able to win the game and do whatever you want to do. That's success to me.
I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. And I think it's one of those where I don't know if Texas is at this point yet, but, you know, when they were humming back in the heyday, it's one of those where, and I don't know if this is something Stevie could probably say better, if this is something that's even like a goal that's thrown out there. But like if I'm the defense, I would want to be like, this team should not cross midfield, or this team should not get in the red zone. You know, whatever's a really high goal, but also still attainable. Like if Texas is the program that we think they are and we think they can be with this level of talent, then I think, you know, it's one of those where it shouldn't ever be close, and I don't think it will be. But also, like, if I'm the defense, I'd want to set the goal of, hey, you know, we don't even want them to score. And if I'm the offense, hey, we want to, if it's within the realm of sportsmanship, we want to put 70 on these dudes. And we want to get all our backups in by, you know, halfway through the third quarter and then go on and get ready for Alabama.
Yeah. Danny, we see some familiar names here with the Rice Owls. Sean Fresh, great DB for LBJ, great family. I think the better athlete, and his mama won't admit it, but Sean is a great DB. I like it because we see eye to eye. He's 5'8", but he has a younger brother you guys may want to pay attention to. I think he's going into the 6th grade. But Sean Fresh, I love this maybe the best name in college football, mobility. And we remember Marquise Tua Asasopo as the OC, and then Luke McCaffrey. I think we all know who his dad is.
And who his brother is.
Oh, that's a good point. I almost forgot about the family tree, the other branch. Danny, you've covered some of these. Well, Sean, I think you were still on the high school beat, right?
No, I've been on this Texas beat for a while now. Sean was behind my time, but
that's right.
As someone who still reads the newspaper that we produce, I'm well aware of Sean's accomplishments at LBJ. But you mentioned Luke. Luke was actually the starting quarterback for Rice last time they came to Austin 2 years ago. So it's kind of been impressive to see him transition into a really nice receiver for Rice. Probably shouldn't be that big of a surprise with the athletes in his family that he can switch positions. But yeah, to answer the other question that Stevie and Jeff answered, I think if you're Texas, it's a win if you win. If you get out of that game with very few injuries, that Steve doesn't have a laundry list of stuff to talk about in the post-game press conference in regards to injuries. I think it's a win if you can get some quality playing time for your backups, get that depth tested a little bit. And then also, Steve mentioned this in his press conference on Monday, and something I'll definitely be looking for. This Texas team was penalized a lot last year.
Great point.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see just kind of how they handle, the pre-snap penalties, some of the silly penalties that they were, you flagged for last year. Because, if you're not disciplined, if you're having struggles against Rice in that area, I know Stevie's just focusing on Saturday, but that's going to be a bigger issue the following week when we're all heading to, watch them in Tuscaloosa. So I think, penalties is definitely one thing I'm paying attention to this weekend, and I'm sure Steve will be very happy if he gets out of there without any injuries to talk about, and if they can test their depth a little bit and get some playing time. Because, it's a season opener. I'm sure there's going to be lots of mamas in the stand and dads and girls girlfriends and all that stuff, and they're going to want to see their favorite football player get some playing time, even if they're far down the depth chart. So that'd be nice for everyone involved if this game goes how at least I expect it to go, and be a blowout.
I agree. I'm going to go ahead and say Texas 59-3, and I'm angry that Pat Green is going on stage at 12:30 on Longhorn City Limits. Why couldn't he have done that after the game? You know, some people like us who are now fans, we get to go watch fans of college football. Why couldn't we just have Pat Green late? Because I like to be in the seat an hour and a half before.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's the only thing. If I got to criticize anything, that's it.
What are you going to be doing in there at 1 o'clock?
It's going to be like 100 degrees. Why do you want to be in the seat that early?
As you guys know, I'm a very different bird. I'm very strange.
You better sneak a liquid IV in there or something.
Well, there will be some liquid starting at 11 a.m.
Just won't have electrolytes.
Yeah, Stevie's a bad influence. But gentlemen, I was going to ask you about, because I visited Colorado. We're run out of time because you guys have things to address. You have families to be with and work obligations. All I can say is love you guys, much love, and I appreciate you guys taking part in this series again. And we got to have lunch soon, and it's on Stevie's tab with his real estate agency. And man, I can't thank you guys enough.
Thanks for having me.
100%. And I will make a good memory for Danny of wherever bowl game we'll cross paths, but we'll make you part of the festivities of whatever bowl destination we will be at in December or January.
Anywhere but San Antonio.
Please, not Alamo City.
As long as it's not the Alamo Bowl, I'll be happy to see you. If I see you at the Alamo Bowl, you make it punch in the face. It has nothing to do with anything you do.
Well, now I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, because I will be an easy target. Hey, for Danny and Barker and Stevie Lee and the OG Man Cave boys, that being Harbaugh Harge, Big Mike, and Coach Mo, what do we say, Big Stevie?
We out.